What is going on, family? How is everybody doing? I hope you are having a great beginning, or of your week. We are here. Hopefully, it'll be a short show. I always say that, and it doesn't do it right. But last time I was 15 minutes shorter, and so maybe we'll get a little bit shorter so everybody can get to bed, and everybody got jobs, everybody got stuff that they need to do. So, fam, listen. But before we get into any of that, please, please. Wasn't that a song? Please, please. Anyway, so let's get into it. Please hit that like button. If you are here, please hit the like button. Please hit that like button. Cost you no monies. Please go to donatebrown.com if you want to donate. No pressure. Go to patreon.com/ycarnell if you want to do that. Again, no pressure. Also, you can go to subscribetobrown.com and add your email address to the list. That would be absolutely great if you could do that. I hardly ever use it, but I like to have it in case I need to. I like to be able to contact you and reach out to you directly. Like the old people say, directly, right, and directly. I would like to be able to do that. So that's why I asked for that. Also, please hit that bell for me. Just hit that bell so that you get notifications. Those of you who are in here probably already did that. If you are in here and you did not do that, you just happened to see my smiling face, please hit the bell for me. Please. Please, 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 please. I would appreciate it. And also hit the subscribe. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do that. Again, much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel. Now, we are having, as usual, a book club that'll be the 30th. January the 3rd, not December, January. Plenty of time, because I know, a lot of you have families and the babies and the kids, and a lot of stuff is going on. So plenty of time for you to get together and read They Were Her Property. January the 30th, that's the last Thursday in the month. Listen, fam, we just got into December. So that's 2 months to read the book. Trying to get more people in. That's 2 months to read it. Come on. So that is that. We're going to talk about the women, and we're going to talk about how wealth, family, is a family property. It's not held in gender. Oh, I'm persecuted. No. So anyway, fam, we're going to have a conversation tonight. And just have it a little bit relaxed and have a conversation about some things that have been going on. There have been a lot of things going on. We've been talking, I've seen a lot of people on the internet, on the interwebs, having conversations. And, one of the things I like to do is to lurk on the internet for a number of reasons, but I like to lurk on the internet too when I go and I see somebody who says, oh, Yvette ain't nothing and she ain't never been nothing but a big forehead dog. I like to just block that person preemptively so they won't come into the chat. That's just what, so I like to go around and see what people are saying. So I'm always in the comment section everywhere blocking everybody. So that's one thing I like to do. And I saw a lot of people saying something that I thought I need to address tonight in terms of, oh, Yvette and Tone, they just want us to vote for Democrats. We on to their game. We on to them. We done figured it out. Well, I want to break something to you, Sherlock, tonight, and we're just going to break it down for you, Sherlock, about why that's not true and what you don't understand, Sherlock. But first, I want to, you all, those of you who have been here a while know that I like to frame things. So let's frame this correctly. I want to frame this through Charlamagne the God. Because in the midst of all these ADOS conversations and the smear campaigns, the internal ones as well as the external ones, we've had a lot of people who have talked a lot about leadership. Everybody's like, I'm number one. I ain't never said that, but a lot of people like, no, this was me. I didn't. So I think it's a good time to kind of slow down a pace, slow down a step, and talk about not only who leads in this space, because I think, honestly, the great things that I saw in the Valerie Russ article from the Inquirer, and shout out to her, even the New York Times article, even the chapters, I see a lot of people positioning into leadership positions, and it doesn't mean, see, we don't subscribe to Messiah leadership. That doesn't mean people all over who are doing ADOS work are not leading in their communities. It doesn't mean they're the only leaders. It doesn't mean they lead in the only capacity. But we have to be very careful about leadership, and I want to tell a story. I want to tell a story about this, and I want to bring it home and make sure everybody understands it when we talk about leadership and the importance of leadership and having a bunch of leaders. Everybody, everybody ain't able in everything, right? But we have to talk about this space because somebody's going to speak for you, right? Like, let's go here. This is who Obama chose to speak for you and me. Obama chose Al Sharpton and anointed him as the spokesperson for ADOS and Black America in general. And I said at the time, he's doing this so that he can play ADOS because Al doesn't know enough, have enough connections, have enough intuitiveness to know how to navigate this space, this presidential space. So he's anointing Al for a reason. But what I'm telling you is that the mainstream is always going to choose leaders, and the importance of this space is that we choose our own people who speaks for us as spokespeople, and that's throughout. I'm looking at this chat right now. It's 1,400 people in here, and I can guarantee you, at least, at minimum, 500 of them could speak to their local paper, to their local news, could serve as spokespeople for ADOS and ADOS chapters. Right? So what you're talking about is building groups that are able to then usher in people to do political work. That's what happens. And there are a lot of people in this space who are acting as leaders who just don't want to call themselves leaders because they want to abdicate responsibility. So I wanted to show you, Al, to show you that they're going to choose somebody to lead from our community. We have to make sure that that person is somebody who, or multiple people, because I don't think we just need Messiah leadership. We don't need no one somebody. And we need to decide among the masses who's going to go in there. Okay, here's what you going to say. Here's what's on the agenda. Here's what's going to be on there. And you go in there and you have this conversation on behalf of us with our approval. You don't get to go in the room by yourself and do something that you feel is the best. No, that's not how we're moving. So let's go back to leadership and let's go back to Leonard, Charla. So I want you to understand what is happening right now with Charlamagne as we talk about leadership, and we can have a debate about leadership and leaders. I think that's a healthy debate to have. I think that's a very healthy debate to have. And I'm happy that we're having a debate about political leaders and leadership and how we're going to navigate in this space. We should have been talking about this a long time ago. So those who have kind of brought up this conversation, I'm happy that you did it because we need to have the debate anyway. That's something that needs to happen anyway. I'm not upset by that, by people talking about who gets to do whatever. That's fine. Let's have a conversation. I'm never afraid of a debate. So pay close attention. You saw Charlamagne talking. He's been talking a lot politically, right? You saw him in the ADOS article. This article, let me see if I can find this article. This article, how Kamala Harris's campaign unraveled. Look. Well done, Kamala. Well done. You saw him get quoted in that article, and you have to ask yourself why. You have to ask yourself, when I see Charlamagne being asked about political stuff, I have to ask myself why he's being positioned in this political space as a leader and who put him there. Who put him there to kind of speak about Charlamagne the God addresses black voters considering Trump? Who wants to be a rich slave? Who are you to address that? Now understand, when we talk about, see, I want everybody to understand something. When we talk about this Kamala Harris article, and people will say, why, Yvette? Why do you think it was strange they discussed Charlamagne? Well, Charlamagne has no political history. Charlamagne has not exuded or expressed to me he has any political knowledge. I would want to know when the last time he accessed any kind of political content, the last book you read, the last political book, the last political article. Like, let's have an engaged conversation about your overall political philosophy, Charlamagne. I want to know all of that. But the second thing is, why would you just had ADOS on the cover of the Times. The cover, we want the cover of the print and the whatever. Why not come back to somebody from ADOS? Don't gotta be me, don't gotta be Tone. Like, God, who is it? India, who did this piece for Al Jazeera? excellent. What everybody who was quoted was excellent. Everybody who was quoted from Valerie Russ, the Inquirer, was excellent. Why didn't you come back to somebody, to the group that had been on the cover, the group that had undid Kamala, the group that made sure that Kamala could not cloak herself in ADOSness when she was not ADOS, the group that made that happen, the group that was first and called Kamala on the stunt that she was pulling, being raised as an immigrant child, with immigrant parents, like she's American, but your parents are immigrants, you're the children of immigrants. And that was a great video that was up, and they talked about how the children of professional immigrants live. She was with Minnie, what's the actress's name? Anyway, that's the story that she should have been telling. And instead of telling the story of a woman who, is the child of professional immigrant parents, she tried to cloak herself in ADOSness and the ADOS struggle. And we were the ones who came out and said, no, if you want our vote, you're going to have a black agenda. If you don't have a black agenda, then you're not going to be able to pull an Obama. Obama was able to do what he did specifically because we hadn't gotten up to speed. So I want to know why this writer intentionally avoided having a conversation with us about the problem with Kamala. Why'd you go to Charlamagne? What does Charlamagne know? What does Charlamagne do in this space? Even when he interviewed Kamala, it was all about the concerns raised by ADOS. So listen, Charlamagne is being used. I don't know if he knows he's being used, but I don't even think he cares. Judging from you all remember that interview he did with Monique? Well, he was like, maybe you just didn't do business right. Maybe you just didn't do. I think he's a willing tool. I think he's a willing and willful tool. As long as he gets his numbers up in his bank accounts, like he says in the article. But you have to ask, why is Charlamagne being positioned as a political voice? See, we have to stop allowing the mainstream media to position people as our leaders who we have not chosen. I didn't choose Charlamagne to ever speak for me on anything political. Now listen, if Charlamagne wants to talk about hip hop in the hip hop space and the artists who are in this space, by all means, you have a body of work where you have interviewed these people for years. You should speak about that. You do not have a body of work at all in the political space. Nobody should ever ask you about that. And you should be shouted down when you try to talk about that. You are not a political person. You don't have a political mind. That's something that you groom over time. And that's what we're doing as ADOS, helping everybody groom a political kind of mind. But let's go to some of the stuff that he said. I don't want to get stuck on this. I want to bring up a few quotes because I want to let the man talk for himself. And I don't even know why. So he was speaking at the sidelines of this thing. I don't even know why this became an article. Whatever. But let's just talk about it. Speaking on the sidelines of the Black Technology Conference Afrotech in Oakland, California, the radio host explained that while boosting black wealth is important, voting for Trump might be paying too high a price. Financial freedom is definitely our only hope, he said. Financial freedom is our only hope. What role does politics play, Charla? But we also have to remember we're black at the end of the day. We have to understand what blackness means and who decided we're black and where that came from and the systematic oppression and the slavery and the wage and the labor that never's been paid. We don't have to just see, you have to understand something. First of all, the first thing you have to understand is this. This is a man who says right here, he's talking about black people and voting for Trump. The first part is that if you know politics, and I've loved politics all my life. That's why I majored in political science. Because I've always loved like how power moves. Loved it. It's my passion. It's not your passion, Charlotte, and I can tell because you shouldn't even be talking about black voters being swayed by Trump. Because how many of us came out to vote for Trump? It's on one of Antonio's videos. Go look at it. We don't vote Republican. Don't let anybody, for the most part, a small minority. So don't let anybody get you having a conversation about why we shouldn't vote for Trump. No, let me tell you what the question is. The question is, how did you, white America, get in this mess? How did you get us in this Trump America? And how do you plan to get us out of it? Because we are the bottom group and we are the group that has suffered. So the question then becomes, how do you plan to get us out of the trick bag you got us in? You gonna put a rabbit out of the hat? What are you gonna do? Because you did this. So what are you gonna do to get us out of this? This is not a question for me about black Trump supporters. Charlamagne probably doesn't even know any. See, the first thing, when we talk about staying on your square, part of staying on your square is staying on message. That's part of it. That's not a question I'm answering. See, some of you have already talked a lot to the local media, right? And salute to y'all. Y'all are wonderful. Hey, here's a pro tip. When they ask you a question and it's a bad question, answer the question they should have asked. Don't answer their question. Answer the question they should have asked. So you turn it around. Well, there's only a negligible amount of black Republicans. For obvious reasons, they have been very antagonistic to the programs and policies that benefit black America. The real question, when we talk about Trump, is why so much of white America decided to vote anti-establishment, and what they're going to do about that in the next election. How are they going to correct the mistake that they made? We voted overwhelmingly Democratic, so that's really not our mess to clean up. Next question. No, on your square. I'm not going to get moved by somebody else's square. You don't get moved by other people's square. And then you say what you say. Like you say, well, we're not going to get moved by Trump, and we're not going to vote for Trump, and we're not going to do this with Trump. And, I hear a lot of people say a lot of things. I'm not with Trump, but when you win and listen, I shout out, even with Tim Scott, he's a Republican. He has stood up a couple times. So, okay. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about when you met about opportunity zones with a Republican congressman, you were meeting with Trump as his conduit. That was his conduit when you were talking about opportunity zones. So what are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about, because you meet with Republicans and say not Trump. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know. You're supporting Republican policies that are going to just lead to gentrification. But you want to talk to me. You want to talk to me about a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense. Hey, let me just bring this up for you. Hold on one second. Now, how the vote broke down by race. Trump, that's red, of course. The blue is the Clinton and others. Okay? Now, look at black. Look at black. That's 8% for Trump. Look at all that blue, 88. Look at the white, 58% for Trump. And then 37 for Clinton. Hispanic, 29, almost 30% of them voted for Trump. 65% for Clinton. Asian, 29 for Trump. 65%. Look at that, 65 for Clinton. Nobody needs to be asking us anything about Trump. Don't ask us anything. We are the most loyal to the Democratic Party, and we get the least. We don't get, like, honestly, like, Democrats should be running around trying to figure out a black agenda. They should be running around trying to figure out how they're going to do reparations. They should be tripping over themselves trying to figure out how they're going to do everything we need done. They should be shining our shoes. But instead, they running around talking about what we got to do. Anytime somebody asks you, well, what are y'all going to, how are y'all going to, what y'all going to do? Y'all got to get out and vote in mass numbers. Yeah, we got to vote for a lot of stuff, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But we ain't got to clean up your mess. We can vote down ballot if we want to. Who gonna check us? Huh? You? You made the mess. You made the mess. So here we go. Here we let's continue. Charlamagne. I don't think that we have gotten to the point in our society where we can talk, where we can take those chances on a president who may be putting money in our pockets, but rolling back all of our other civil rights and rolling back all of our other civil liberties. That's worded oddly. He said, referencing issues like the war on drugs. That don't add up to me. Well, I see where you're going, Charlamagne, in terms of like, but Trump ain't trying to make you wealthy, Charlamagne. You don't have enough money for what he's trying to do. Hush. You got to save those paychecks, he said. This is Charla Leonard, adding that once he lived paycheck to paycheck. Okay, I don't care. When it comes to finances, a lot of us just don't know how to save money because we've never been taught to save money. Charlamagne is giving a class in financial literacy. He's telling white America the problem with Negroes is not systemic oppression. The problem with us is not slavery. The problem with us is not that we don't have anything. The problem with us is not multi-generational oppression. The problem with us is not that we were taken off the board during the time that people were building wealth. The problem with us, according to Charlamagne, is that nobody ever taught us how to save money. When you look at Dr. Darity's work, one of the things you find is that blacks edge out whites in savings. We save more than they do when you adjust for income. The problem is when you see blacks have virtually no wealth to draw from, we ain't got no money to save, Charlamagne. You lucked up. You lucked up. Non-talented. You lucked up on something. The problem with having these people in these spaces to talk is that when they get in these spaces, they say all the wrong things. Our problem is not that we don't save. Black people, we edge out white people in savings when you adjust for income. We save because we have to. Don't think when you see us with a fancy pair of shoes on, we save because that's what we got to do. But when you don't have any money, when you don't have everybody, when you live in a world where everybody's existing on inheritance, nobody's making money from labor anymore, that becomes a problem. Because your mama, your daddy, grandmama, grandpappy, auntie, uncle has no money to pass down. You don't know that everybody, Charlamagne, that people are living off inheritance now, not wages. So it's not about tucking money away. And I don't need you to speak for me. I don't need you to speak for ADOS. I don't need you to speak for black people in general. You know, it's funny, Boyce Watkins said that he gives Charlamagne financial advice. Yeah, it makes sense. It looks like it looks stupid. What did I say a long time ago? Financial literacy without finances don't work. You got to understand how stupid this is, what Charlamagne said. You talked about not wanting to be a rich slave, but then you met with a Republican congressman about opportunity zones. It looks to me that you're fine with being rich however it is. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It's such a contradiction, isn't it? It's not. I'm not gonna go that route because I don't want to be no rich slave. You know what I'm saying? You might as well have met with Trump. That's his initiative. So you say it's not worth it on one hand, but then you just did it. You think it makes it better because you showed up with a tracksuit on and some Pumas? You thought that was your fight the power moment, the fact that you didn't have on a suit, Charlamagne? If you want to, people use their wages to pay bills. Your light bill, your gas bill, the bills, that's wages. But in terms of buying assets and houses and property and land, that's inheritance. We don't have any. When you want to build in America, you have to have, it's like building, it's like baking a cake. I've used the cake analogy before. So wages are one ingredient in the cake. So you got a cake and like you have wages. That means you have flour for your cake. You ain't got no eggs, got no sugar. How you gonna bake a cake, sweetheart? That's not a cake. That's an ingredient. And we were taken off the board during a time when America, when the barons of industry were building wealth and the people below them were building wealth. Everybody who's passing wealth down now, their mother or grandfather was not a sharecropper. They don't come from slavery. That's why you see these charts. Y'all remember this article, right? And I say this because not everybody was here. I told somebody this in Twitter. I go over like what Otis calls recurring training because not everybody was here. Not everybody has seen all these charts. So let's remind people who just got here. You all remember African Americans are the only group in the U.S. making less than they did in 2000? Remember that? You remember this? You remember this chart? We are behind Asian Americans, whites, Hispanics, and we've been here 400 plus years. That is a sign, people. That is a sign that is systemic oppression. That is not individual agency. That is not us deciding that we're not going to save. You are not going to get yourself out of here individually. We will do it as a collective or we will perish. Know that. Now I want to say something else. That little craze, Talib Kweli, and everybody's been chasing me around because of a fun time I had one day with a MAGA hat. And we had fun with that MAGA hat and we laughed about it. And everybody who was watching understood that we were just having fun. But that hat has followed me all around the internet. Nobody ever decided, nobody ever tried to say, what was the context of that? Were you a Trump supporter? No, lifelong Democrat. We had some fun. It's YouTube. It was a teachable moment. We laughed about it. Nobody thought like Yvette's a Trump supporter. Nobody but twits. But understand, ask me how this is possible. How is it possible I get skewered for a prop hat, for a stunt during a show, and these two men can go meet with a Republican senator. I'm sorry. I think I said congressman, same thing. But I'm a Republican senator about a Trump initiative and y'all don't say nothing. Y'all don't say nothing about Charlamagne's initiative. You gonna stalk me all the time. Stalk me, stalk my DMs, send me that. But you don't say nothing about the people the other people who are meeting with Republicans about a Republican initiative that only and aims to gentrify poor neighborhoods, that aims to gentrify black neighborhoods, that is a place for white people to put white capital. I didn't meet with nobody about that. I didn't go to Capitol Hill about that, and I wouldn't. Let me tell you, Black America giving people a pass that should not be given a pass while they just chase me around the interwebs. Y'all want to allow Charlamagne and T.I. to free float and do what they want to do and make all the money they want to make. But people want to chase me around about a hat. Why don't you tell Talib Kweli, go holler at your boys? I heard he's been incognito. I'm happy about that. Maybe somebody took his phone after Kamala imploded. But why don't you go holler at your boys? You also still friends with Kanye and he's a Republican. What is your thing? What is this thing that goes around with just chasing Yvette? Somebody need to talk about it. And everybody need to understand it. Because it's not what you think it is. It's never what you think it is. So, I wanted to say that because I want everybody to be clear. that Charlamagne doesn't know enough to be speaking, and I don't know if he cares enough about us as a community to be speaking on behalf of. Let me see if I can find this other, because I have to make it clear. This man, I mean, come on. And he went. I don't know if he was directly talking. He was talking about opportunity zones. He put it up on his. This was his Instagram. Hold on a second. Trying to explain. You ever seen somebody try to explain something they don't understand? This was Charlamagne's. Opportunity zones are economically distressed communities, basically the hood, where new investments under certain conditions may be eligible for preferential tax treatment. If you invest in one of these zones directly or through an opportunity fund, you get a tax break on profits. If you hold it for 10 years, you owe no tax. Opportunity zone legislation is giving us the chance to gentrify our own hoods before other people do it. No, it's not, Charlamagne. No, it's not. That's some dum-dum. Y'all remember the little guy? Y'all remember Gazoo from the Flintstones? Hello, dum-dum. Hello, dum-dum. No, that's not what it is. It's a space for white capital. Black capital hardly exists. They want you to be dum-dum and try to be the face of when you really don't have enough money to do what they're going to do. These people don't put together. There are people who are put together. I need to bring them up. $500 million to gentrify and drive Negroes out. Your little piece of money, Charlamagne, dum-dum. It's not meant to re-gentrify our hoods. It's meant to drive us out of our hoods, dum-dum. Opportunity zone legislation is giving us a chance. Listen, for those of us who are already reinvesting into our communities by buying property and redeveloping it, this legislation gives us more incentive. This is what Nipsey and David A. Gross and our opportunity, whatever, who cares? Blah, 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 blah. Everything you're saying is wrong, so I don't even know why it matters to get it right. Just, well, it gives us a shot. You don't know. See, and let me just say this, fam. This is why we do political work. I know sometimes it seems tedious to go through articles and go through charts and that sort of thing. But the reason we do political work here is because if you don't do political work, anybody can come up to you with an idea and say, I have something for you that will help you get your hood together and make some monies. And you'll be like, okay, that sounds good. Everything sounds good if you don't know what you're talking about. If you don't know more than the person talking to you, yeah, it sounds good. But if you know what opportunity zones are really for, people to for white capital to stick their money, you just want to get a little bit of that money too, Charlamagne? You don't care? Or you don't know? Jeez Louise. It's a lot. It is a lot, but I just want to say that's why the people who speak for you in terms of what Black America thinks and what Black America wants, that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important. Because Charlamagne out here talking about financial literacy, and he finna re-gentrify the hood with opportunity zones. And if you ask him, Charlamagne, did you read a book on opportunity zones? Did you read at least 20 articles before you decided, or did you have a phone conversation with somebody? Or did you do it just because Nipsey did it? Because everybody can be wrong. May he rest in peace. But that don't mean that you were right about this, or that you were right about it in terms of other people, in terms of community at large versus your individual self. It's a problem. Somebody in the chat said Flint still doesn't have clean water. Yeah, but everybody don't care. They don't care. They're here doing opportunity zones, talking about how they're gonna get the bag and I'm gonna re-gentrify my hood. We don't fix any of this. That's why reparations is the heartbeat of our Black agenda. You don't fix any of this without a massive redistribution, not only of wealth, but opportunity, of protection. You have to be protected. You don't do any of that. What has happened to us has been a systemic oppression. You fix that with systemic policies to undo that oppression. And then you redistribute wealth. You do a whole bunch. You have to figure it out with land as well, ownership. All that has to happen. You're not finna re-gentrify the hood, Charlamagne. You don't have enough money. And you and your friends don't. I know y'all believe that. And I don't know what you believe. Maybe you just want to get the bag. I don't know. I can't speak to it. I can just speak to what I would believe. But, if I was confused as you. But So, I'm saying that because I'm going to pivot real quick. when people talk about leadership and Yvette and Antonio and this and that and the Democratic Shills, and so Charlamagne is being positioned. Understand that he's speaking in this political space. He's being positioned for something. I don't yet know what, but he's talking about politics in a way that is irresponsible and just stupid. He doesn't know enough, and he doesn't want to know enough. You can tell by his interviews, he just likes to interject and say stuff, and then he goes off and he runs off with the revolt bag. But, I saw this tweet up earlier today, and I thought about something in the sense of how and why the people in a space and what the people in a space say matters. See, if you're listening to Charlamagne, it's hard for you to just discern what is true and what is real and what is politically relevant. You don't know if you listen to an Al. You don't know if you listen to a Sharpton. If you listen to Al, you just think, I just got to vote Democrat, and that's going to stick to the man. If you listen to Charlamagne, you think something else, which is just that stupid, right? But in a different way. You think you're going to re-gentrify the hood. So it made me think, first of all, what does it mean to be in this space and articulate in this space? And how do we do it in a way that's responsible? And then when we do it in a way that's responsible, what happens if people don't know that because they've been listening to Al, or in this case, Charlamagne, or somebody else, or in this case, Tariq, or whoever? Then you don't know enough to know that no, Yvette and Tone are not Democratic Shills. Well, hold on, Yvette. You said we got to vote Democratic down ballot. So you got to be in the bag for Democrats. Here's the thing. I said Democratic down ballot because, listen, you have a primary, you have a general. The primary is to narrow the field. If you've ever voted, you're probably going to get that Democratic ballot anyway. Like, whatever, if you're a Republican, go do your thing. I'm not going to mess with you. But what I'm saying is, show up. Show up. Because showing up keeps you politically engaged. Whereas withdrawing yourself makes you lazy. I ain't got to, well, do you know who's voting for dog catcher? They caught my little dog Rover. He wasn't bothering nobody. I don't know who vote. I don't know who running for nothing because I don't vote. I don't vote, so I ain't got to know. Listen, let me tell you something, ADOS family. I like to, if there's a more efficient way to do something, I like to do it. Always. But if you ever have a choice between doing the hard thing and the easy thing, do the hard thing. It's good for your character. Show up. So why would I show up, Yvette? You must be a Democratic Shield, you and old Tone. Y'all must be a Democratic Shield because why else would you tell me to show up? Well, Yvette, what if I get there and ain't nobody to vote for? Well, is there nobody to vote against? Because when you show up, you're voting for somebody and against somebody. You're not just voting for. So is there nobody for you to vote against? Well, yeah, Yvette, what if I get there? There ain't nobody there. Nobody there. Lucy May is running for city council. I don't like her. I don't like her because she bothered me. I don't like the way she look. And then Billy Boo is running for a state rep. I don't like him. And I don't like that. Well, okay. So you don't like nothing. There's nothing there for you. Okay. Well, here comes the question with that. Even if you show up to vote and there are no Democrats, you have to write in the whole thing. ADOS. Or even if they won't let you write in there, they won't count it. A lot of times there are other things on your ballot, and I brought this up on Twitter, that have nothing to do with the candidate. How do you not know this? Which ballot initiatives passed? This was 2016, I do believe. Let me make sure. I might have cut it out. But which ballot initiatives passed? Right? So if you went to vote, you got to vote for one of these in the last presidential election cycle. These were not people. These were things that you might care about. Money, anytime money's involved, I care. because Capitol Hill is the place where rights are distributed and money is distributed. You should care about that. Okay? So let's talk about California. Let's just go through the list a little bit. This from the PBS article. California, Nevada, and Massachusetts approved measures legalizing the recreational use of marijuana, while Florida, Arkansas, and North Dakota voted to allow pot for medical purposes. A recreational pot proposal lost in Arizona. The outcome of another in Maine was too close to call. This was way back when. Gun control was on the ballot in 4 states, including California, which already has some of the nation's toughest gun-related laws. Voters there approved a measure that will outlaw possession of large-capacity ammunition magazines, require permits to buy ammunition, and extend California's unique program that allows authorities to seize firearms from owners who bought guns legally but are no longer allowed to own them. That's some interesting stuff to vote on. Washington State approved a ballot measure that will allow judges to issue orders temporarily seizing guns from individuals who are deemed a threat. In Maine and Nevada, a group funded by former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg spent millions promoting a ballot measure that would require background checks on nearly all gun sales and transfer. The measure was approved in Nevada but was rejected in Maine. That's a lot of money spent on a rejected thing, ain't it? A lot of stuff going on. With Congress unable to agree on an increase in the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, numerous states and cities have taken action on their own. In this election, Arizona, Colorado, and Maine voters approved measures phasing in a $12 an hour minimum hourly wages by 2020. In Washington State, where the minimum wage is $9.47 an hour, voters approved a measure raising that to $13.50 an hour by 2020. In Nebraska, voters reinstated the death penalty, reversing the legislature's decision last year to repeal capital punishment. Nebraska has not executed an inmate since 1997. 10 men currently sit on death row. Florida, where the medical pot measure was backed by 71% of the voters, and Arkansas became the first states in the South with full-scale medical marijuana programs, which exist in 25 other states. Collectively, it was the closest the U.S. has ever come to a national referendum on marijuana, which remains prohibited under federal law. Let's keep it pushing, shall we? I mean, since I ain't got to vote, I don't vote for no Democrats. They don't do nothing for me. I ain't got to vote. A lot's on the ballot besides Democrats, besides candidates. Let's continue. Oklahoma residents approved a measure to make it harder to abolish capital punishment. It seeks to ensure the state has a way to execute prisoners, even if a given method is blocked. Colorado voters approved a measure that will allow physicians to assist a terminally ill person in dying. That's already a practice in 5 other states. Coloradans defeated a proposal that would have set up the nation's first universal healthcare system. That's interesting. Somebody called in, regardless of how you feel about immigration, somebody called in a while ago and talked about the funds used in California for bilingual education. And here you go. Bilingual education. California voters repealed a nearly 2-decade-old law that limited bilingual education in schools. Tax hikes. Oregon voters defeated a measure that would have imposed a 2.5% tax on corporate sales that exceed $25 million. Washington voters rejected a plan to promote cleaner energy by imposing a tax on 25 per metric ton on carbon emissions from fossil fuels such as gasoline, coal, natural gas. Tobacco taxes. Voters in Colorado, Missouri, and North Dakota rejected proposals to raise taxes on cigarettes and other tobacco products. Californians approved a measure that raises cigarette prices by $2 a pack and places new taxes on electric cigarettes. And here is something else that made big news. I think a lot of you all will remember this. Florida approves ballot measure restoring felons' voting rights. Florida votes on Tuesday approved a constitutional amendment restoring voting rights to some 1.5 million people with felony convictions, ending a system that activists said disproportionately affected poor and black residents. And let me just say one thing. You have a lot of this. During election years, but it's not just election years where like you have like these ballot measures on the ballot. You had it in New York. This was a presidential election year. I mean, when you're voting in a president, of course, that's when people like to put a lot of stuff on there. But you have it in off years too. So what I say to people who say, "Oh, you're telling us to vote. You're telling us to go to the election. You must be a shill. You must be a dirty low down dog because you're telling us to show up." I'm telling you to show up because, once again, it's important to vote for and against people. And if you vote in the primary, what state you're in will depend on what kind of ballot you get and what kind of rules they have for independence or whatever you're doing. But even outside of the candidates, I have a hard time believing that there's not one candidate. I don't care whether it's your local town commissioner. I don't care who it is. I find it hard believing there's not somebody that deserves your vote on there. Not one person. Not one person. But even if there's not one person, and some of the stuff isn't nearly as sexy as this stuff, like marijuana, we all know about that. Some of the stuff is just like a tax hike on the turkey farms or the whatever. And you're like, what? That happened to me one time. I thought I had went through the whole list of the ballot measures, and I went through most of them, and I got there, and there was one on there talking about chickens or something, and I was like, oh, I don't know, what is this? I had to play and look at my phone and figure, because I had all the rest of them, but I didn't have this one. It's all kind of tax measures and little stuff, and a lot of it is sneaky. If you look at it, some of the stuff be real sneaky. They be trying to smooth in there on you with the taxes and raise tax for $5 for blah, 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 blah. So, or lower the tax for $10, blah, 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 and they'll tell you where the $10 that they taking it from. So, what I'm saying is that there is more on the ballot than candidates. And it makes no sense to opt out before first of all, if you're going to opt out and not show up, can you at least wait until the ballot for your district or whatever is available? You don't even know what's on there yet. You don't even know what measures are on there that have nothing to do with any of the candidates. You don't even know what candidates on there probably, knowing half of y'all who show up in my comment. You don't know who's going to be on there. Your neighbor across the street could be running, and you might be like, I love my neighbor. He real. You don't know. Like, at least wait until the ballot is here and look and go all the way down. Go all the way down and see what it looks like. Don't opt out. And I'm sorry. I think opting out, what is this day? It's the December the 2nd, 2019. You opting out now? You quitting now? And I do agree. I agree with everybody. The most important stuff that happens is before the election. So, okay, if you want to see a different set of candidates, what are you doing to educate candidates? What are you doing with ADOS? Right? What are you learning for yourself? Forget what you're doing outside of yourself. What are you learning? Are you downloading like what we need about what we get wrong about the racial wealth gap? Are you even tweeting your local state lawmaker if they mess up and they do something wrong? Do you follow them? Are you doing anything except announcing to the world that you're not going to show up on election day? Because that makes you feel special and it makes you feel like you're doing something big. How do you say you're not going to show up before you even know what's on the ballot? Like, how is that? How have we gotten ourselves into believing somehow that is empowerment? I ain't going to show up. I'll tell them. Well, at least know what's going on, because let me tell you something. The most important thing here is staying engaged. And what I find with people who don't show up is that once they decide they're not going to vote, they just disengage. They don't do no kind of politics. They don't talk about politics. They don't, because we should have a robust political community. We all should be talking politics all the time. We don't have a space not to. We the bottom group. We should be talking this all the time. We should know politics like the back of our hands. We should talk about it all the time because of what politics has done to us. So what I'm trying to get you to do, even in terms of showing up, there's a method to my madness. I'm trying to get you to stay engaged in this political process. Because once you decide you're not voting, you opt out. And you say, I don't have to know nothing, no way. You give yourself permission to be ignorant in this space and not know nothing, because you feel like knowing something is just in case you're going to vote. And if you're not going to vote, you don't got to know nothing. You don't get to disengage. Like if there's one thing, as I come to the end of this show, one thing you got to know, you don't get to disengage. You don't get to walk away. You don't get to say, I don't vote no way. You don't get to view that as some kind of you don't, I'm going to kick it to the man. I'm not going to show up. Now, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen before you show up. I agree. And maybe you get there and all you have, and your candidates are so bad that all you can do is vote for a ballot measure and whether or not they're going to raise a tax on chicken feed. Well, that's what it is. And that's what your day was. And you showed up and you did what you could and you went home. That's a valiant effort. Good for you. But I'm telling you, we got to start showing up. We don't got to vote. We don't got to, them Democrats ain't nothing. You ain't got to vote for them. You don't have to. You just got to show up. And we just got to show up politically and stay engaged. Because those people that you didn't vote for, they're still going to cause problems. And you still got to show up and tell them that they can't do what they did. And you still got to hold them accountable even though you didn't vote for them. So that's all I'm saying, fam. I'm at the end of the show. I want to bring the calls in and hear what you have to say, but I just want to make that clear in terms of showing up isn't just about voting for a Democrat. Showing up is voting for ballot measures that matter, and showing up is how we stay politically engaged. Oh yeah, I saw her. She ran for the so-and-so last time. I ain't vote for her, and I ain't vote for her opponent either. They both low down dirty dogs, but I know that they ran. So when I see her name again, or when I see his name again, I know who he is, because I showed up and voted for some other stuff, but I didn't vote for him and him and him and him either. But I know who they are, and I got my eye on them, and I know what they did, and I'm gonna stay politically educated. I'm gonna know exactly what they did and how they pushed something. They put a landfill in the black community. They put a plant that burps up garbage. I know what they approved, when they did it, and how they did it. That still, you gotta stay engaged. Do not disengage from this process. It's where citizenship is. So, family, let me just go to the phones. Give me a few minutes to set up as usual, and we will be back. right, fam. We are back. We are back, fam. What is the biz? Y'all know what it is. So I am going to hold on a second. Phone be acting up. Every technology. I'm going to y'all know who it is. I'm going to 310. What's going on?
What up, what up? I just wanted to come through and address some things, have a brief conversation about what you were talking about. Good show. If you can pull up that Charlamagne picture with Trump's next to it. You know, one thing that I got into with Charlamagne about that black privilege? Black privilege. It's funny because when I talked to Thomas Shapiro about it, who came up with the term racial wealth gap, he was literally like, I don't even know what this man's talking about. So, you know, Charlamagne is politically infantile. He's like not really developed. And so I think for a lot of black folks, not the ADOS folks that have garnered us and people that get a political education, but generally speaking, they kind of attracted to it because our group developed that way. That's why we never had reparations discussions. It makes no sense for a group that has 400 years of investment inside of a country that's as wealthy as ours to not have had reparations discussions. And I'm telling you right now, like, with literally limited resource, few donations from y'all, me and Yvette have made it a national discussion. I don't understand how the NAACP or the Urban League didn't do the same. I could do this. I could do 1,000 times more with what they have, and without them blocking us. And I think one of the things that I want to make clear is, like, when you look at the New York Times article, first of all, I don't believe that's the article that Stockman actually wrote. I believe there were a lot of changes. And then second of all, I know for a fact that a lot of people didn't want her to write that. And in addition, what you end up seeing as a result is a lot of people are avoiding ADOS and using Charlamagne to avoid a black discussion, not just an ADOS discussion, a real discussion about reparations and the black agenda. This man is a problem, period. And I think for a lot of people that, like, our race developed to be fit straddlers. So you try to find a middle ground between somebody who's obviously wrong and the clear right answer, because you can't deal with the fact that what that means is you have to get rid of that entire, whatever that is, the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne, whatever it is. And I look and I see this thing as I develop it, and I just want to read something to you guys about opportunity zones. I think we use the word, and it's kind of like dreamers. The word opportunity sounds so positive that we get lost on what the actual program is and how it's tied right directly to the tax reform that Trump passed, the regressive tax reform. So, if you can pull this up, President Donald Trump's tax reform law created the Opportunity Zone program to let investors, I don't know if you even have it, to let investors who roll capital gains into an opportunity fund defer tax payments until they sell their interest in the fund or the end of 2026, whichever occurs first. The money must be invested in designated opportunity zones in distressed communities, which generally means household incomes are below the national average of $59,000 per year, and the poverty rate is typically 20% or higher. I came out of one of these communities, so I believe there's an untapped potential in every state in the nation. Senator Tim Scott said in the January interview, the Republican senator from South Carolina was born into poverty and was a major advocate of the tax reform law. So, when I look at this thing, I want to make sure you understand this is nothing more than the other side of the tax reform bill that we and Yvette talked about for 2 years before it. I don't see how Charlamagne gets to go there and still talk to Democratic candidates for us. I don't understand how y'all don't see that and, like, how bad it is. You know, I come back to something that a lot of people, if you could pull the Trump image up, Charlamagne again, I come back to something that I really want to hammer home, and you know, we have an anti-intellectual movement going on in this whole, like, space, not just the internet, but entertainment as a whole. And I don't know how your children are going to go to college or whatever when you don't really advocate for what comes out of that. And I'm not, you know, just like last week, you had the guy with that video. I told the brothers I wasn't talking about you because I don't know you. I was talking about the guy from MSNBC. I sent the dude a solid message because I don't even know him and didn't owe that to him. And he sent back a message, if you read it, that kind of read like he was going to try to interview me or take video, take a tape or something. You a weirdo. You like a weird little man. I'm not messing with you no more. But what you got into is this whole discussion that I'm going to try to degrade you being a lawyer. How? How can you tell somebody else that they're not a lawyer? You have no expertise. I practice in LA. Everything I've done is better than what you've done, so how are we talking? And I'm not saying that to down him particularly, but I'm saying this because now let's get into the specifics of politics. Because I don't really do this part, and I think it's necessary. Yvette, where'd you go to? You went to Howard, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what was your degree in?
Political science.
I went to UCLA. My degree was in political science. And I'm saying this because when you look at Charlamagne, he went to night. And whether you want to deal with the fact of what that means or not, whether you want to call it elitist or not, at the end of the day, the person you want speaking to the New York Times, to any administration, to any candidate, is me or Yvette, not Charlamagne. Because what Charlamagne ends up with is he's leading on opportunity zones. Then meeting with Kamala Harris talking about smoking weed in Jamaica. He's talking all over the place. And all of this being done to avoid the fact that ADOS people are owed a black politics. And I think for a lot of us, we don't really want to deal with that. We don't want to deal with the fact that everybody's trying to take a piece of Trump while saying that they're Democrats, and none of it makes any sense. We look at the long-standing realities of black people and how they vote. Black people have voted Democratic since 76 at about a 90% rate. The only election I believe that we did below 90 was this last one, 88. That's because they gave us Hillary Clinton. We were opposed against Bernie's plans, which were much more liberal. That's the only reason it even gets the extra 2%. And I'm saying all this because when we start looking at this thing, I think one of the things that people don't understand, and I think we got to make this clear as well, part of the reason that we say Democratic down ballot is to not be casted as right-wing, because they want to throw this group away because they don't want to deal with the politics of this group. It isn't just the same. First and foremost is because we vote Democratic, because of how it's been situated. What do I mean? They set up a system where white folks have their own party that's kind of just their own party by themselves. That's a conservation party. It's the Republicans. They far right. Then they set the Democrats as the opposition to the Republicans, not a party with its own politics. So fundamentally what you've seen in this election, started with Bernie in the last one, but really in this election, is the Democratic Party was pulled far left. And with that far left pull, we finally had a home of sorts, and we had a doorway to begin a discussion about reparations. So now let's talk about it politically, because we playing chess, and everybody else don't know what we doing. I don't need nobody else tweeting with ADOS supporting Trump. That's not, we making a chess move here. I'm saying to you that it's not our fault that they don't have 3 to possibly 5 parties. That would mean that you would have a lot more decision making in between it. They created a party that conserves a system that oppressed us for 100, 200, 300 years, and then they have this other party. And in this other party, we finally in a space where it's far enough left where we can make an argument about reparations. And as we make that argument, we're doing it based on the fact not only of the fact that we invested in this country, but that we invested in this party in a way that no one else did. That's what we're doing. What you doing is games. So tell us, faceless man, don't talk about me no more. Do your thing, whatever you want to talk about, the dreams and the conspiracies and all that, we gonna do politics. Now, I say this last thing because the down ballot thing I've done since 08. I did it in 08, I did it in 12, I did it in 16. I didn't vote for the president. But I voted pretty much Democratic down ballot. But I did not vote for the district attorney here in Los Angeles any of those times. She's a Democrat. You can abstain per particular candidates. Yep. In addition, they have judges. In addition, they have propositions. One of those propositions here in California illuminates what Yvette is saying. Maybe it does it even more so than the ones that she just pulled up. Can you pull up the Prop 209 image that I sent? Prop 209 was part of the push to gut affirmative action that came out of California. It came out of the UC system, Ward Connors. What we don't understand is with Prop 2, I'm going to read you a little section of something about Prop 209 so you can kind of get a general idea of what I'm saying. While discussions of affirmative action typically revolve around the decisions of the Supreme Court, the battle for affirmative action in California played out over the airways and door to door, rather than in a courtroom. approved by a majority of California voters in '96 after a long, tumultuous campaign. So what does that mean? Look, the Supreme Court, the legislators, everybody's a weather vane. A lot of times what you end up with is these propositions signal. That's how you got the marijuana change. They signal to the legislators and to the Supreme Court where the population is at and what they're willing to accept as far as decision making goes. Do we not understand that component of this whole thing? I just think part of it comes back to is that we have a group that wasn't developed politically at the home level. We have a group that wasn't developed politically at the community level. And we have a group that looks for entertainment instead of voting. So many people voted for Obama because of what he looked like and made them feel versus his actual politics. I don't understand how you cannot vote this time. Well, it's because Obama ain't there no more, and you don't feel like you voted for this rap artist that you used to like. Whether you want to be honest about it or not, Obama plays a lot of people. He claimed to Stevie Wonder and stood next to Jay-Z. Well, we don't have that no more. What we having you vote for is a black agenda, reparations, whether it's on the ballot or not. The reason why is because we're making a long play here. And I just kind of wanted to come in because I still come back to it. I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, you got a political science degree, I got a political science degree, and the boy got a night school. I'm going to leave it at that.
Appreciate it, Tom. Thank you for, as always, for calling in the line. Woo-wee. Yeah, I just don't. And let me just say this for me. My thing is like, you know, and I think we are anti-intellectual. We tend to like now they just talking about what they got degrees, think they're better than us. I don't think that at all. What I would ask too is like Charlamagne, like what I said. When's the last time you accessed some? You know, do you follow the ADOS book club? When's the last time you accessed something political? He'll tell you I don't. I just talked to Angela Rye on the phone at nighttime. Like that's not good enough. Like you and Angela Rye talking is not good enough. Like that's not how you learn this stuff. We actually access information here. We actually access not only data, we actually access the history. We actually access economics. You haven't been doing any of that work. And it's obvious. Now, I would never tell you about hip hop. I would never tell you or try to tell you, you know, this artist is better than this artist because of X or because of Y or what to expect from hip hop this year. I would never do that because that is your lane. I wish you would stay in it though. That's all I'm saying. So I'm gonna go to the next caller. I'm going to 216. 216, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yes, this is Doug. I called you a little while back, and just been listening tonight, and I just want to call and say I'm very disappointed in what I'm hearing. Would you like to know why?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that the strategy that you all have been pushing as far as voting down ballot, it's just not appropriate after black people have been voting Democrat for 50 years. I myself, I've been voting, I'm almost 50 years old, I've been voting for 32 years, and everything that I've tried to vote for, it never comes to pass, and it's not on the ballot. I don't like gentrification. Stopping gentrification is not going to be on the ballot. I want strong public schools. For the most part, there isn't any major initiatives that are going to improve the public schools. So when you tell me, and I believe, so this goes for a lot of people to go out and vote, the fact of the matter is, Miss, is that we don't have anything to vote for. The fact of the matter is that the Democratic Party is a corrupt party, and that 95% of the people in there are a bunch of bootlicks and lackeys. And so they're not going to do anything for it. They haven't done anything for it, and they're not going to do anything for it. So my thing is, it's not progressive to tell people that they should be voting Democrat at this point. And yes, we have done that historically as a people, and we've got nothing out of it. It's time for us to do something different.
Let me just ask you one question though. You said that gentrification isn't on the ballot. Marijuana legalization was on the ballot. Getting voting rights for felons was on the ballot. All of these things were on the ballot. So when you say like things that are important to me aren't on the ballot, I don't know about you, but getting felons the right to vote back was important to me. It was in Florida, so I couldn't vote for it, but it was on the ballot. So I think it's kind of problematic to say that like things that are important to us won't be on the ballot. I think here's where I agree. I think we definitely have to work before the election, because a lot of people just like to show up. I think we have to work before the election to put things on the ballot that should be on the ballot. But there were a lot of important things on the ballot that didn't have anything to do with Democratic candidates.
When you say vote Democratic down ballot, the inference is for us to, vote for Democratic
But
candidates.
Sir, let me interrupt you. I just did a whole show. What the second half of the show was about voting. If you don't have any candidate to vote for, you have to vote for a ballot measure. I just did a whole show talking about even if you can't find anybody on that ballot, there is usually some kind of ballot measure or initiative or something on there for you to vote for. Like, did you just ignore all of that?
No, I heard you when I heard you. And I said if people want to go out and they want to vote for various initiatives, that's fine. But that's not voting Democratic down ballot. Democratic down ballot is not voting for the president, but voting for other Democratic politicians.
You're right. No, wait. I'm not going to interrupt. We're going to go point by point. So you're right, but I just showed you. But hold on. I said Democratic down ballot, like don't vote for the president, but vote for the other people. What people said to me is, what if everybody on my ballot is horrible? And I said, if everybody on your ballot is horrible, and you can't find anybody to vote for or against, there's usually something else on that ballot for you to show up for. That's what I just said. So even if we talk about that,
Yvette, what I'm saying to you is, a lot of your people in your audience are mature. Are you listening? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. It's time to stop saying vote Democrat at all. Okay? It's time to tell the truth about the Democratic Party, and that they selected and had as their running mate Hillary Clinton, who is arguably one of the most corrupt political candidates in American political history.
No argument here.
All right. Now, and everybody, almost all the politicians lockstep were for Hillary Clinton. What does that tell you? They are.
See, hold on. Wait a minute. Let me back up. Did you say my audience is mature or immature? I didn't hear you.
No, I said there are a lot of people in your audience that are mature, and it's time for us to do some grown-up things.
I still didn't hear it. I still couldn't make it out. Listen, but let me just say, is the grown-up thing for you not to vote? Is that the grown-up thing for you?
Yes, wait. A grown-up thing after 32 years, ma'am. After 32 years of not getting anything out of voting, is to say, you know what? It might be a good idea for me to abstain from voting.
No. Here's the problem. Hillary isn't running in 2020. Listen, you're talking to somebody who people say, Yvette, what were you doing? You're talking to somebody who, when Antonio and I did it, we were talking about all the problems with Hillary. I interviewed Nathan Robinson, who wrote a book about how bad the Clintons were. So, don't think you're teaching me anything here. Please understand that. The second thing is, we have invested everything in this party. The problem isn't that politics exists. The problem is that we haven't forced this party to do anything for us. I don't know how you think that sitting home is going to do anything. I don't know how you think. See, the problem isn't that the Democrats are horrible. The Republicans are horrible too. But we have invested in the Democrats. The problem is, hey, listen, we've invested in you and we haven't got anything in exchange. So when we show up, we're going to vote Democratic down ballot. If we can't find anything Democratic down ballot, we're going to vote for our local initiatives or whatever. But we're not going to keep giving you the White House or the Senate or whatever else if you're not going to do anything for us. We're going to show up. We're going to let all the posters and everybody know that we came. We showed up here and there was nothing here for us. There was nothing here for us as a community. That's what we're going to do. Because we need the Democrats to do for us. We don't need the Democrats. We give them our vote we're the most loyal Democrats. And we have gotten nothing for it. I don't see.
Yvette.
I'm going to let you finish.
It's time to grow up. And what I'm
No, please. Let me hold on. I haven't been condescending to. Hold on. I haven't been condescending to you. in this conversation. I'm 44 years old. If you tell me it's time to grow up, I'm going to hang up. Because you're not my daddy and you don't sound grown to me. So listen, I haven't been condescending to you. Let's keep it above board, okay? Don't tell me it's time to grow up. I'm grown.
Okay, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that in a personal sense. I mean that in a group sense. Okay, so I apologize there. It's not about making personal attacks. What I'm saying to you is that we can make these same arguments that you're making without committing to voting for the Democrats. We don't have to vote for them ever again, and we can still go to them and say, we have 50 years of capital with you. What in the hell are you going to do for us? Now, that's how you negotiate. At least that's how I negotiate. After 50 years, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. And I'm a political science major as well.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem with that. You have to also understand what moment that you're in, right? Let me just say this. Whether or not you realize it or anybody realizes it, we're in a transformational moment. I don't know whether people realize that. You have over on this side, you have Trump as president. Who could have predicted that? Over on this side, you have Ocasio-Cortez. Who could have predicted that you would have Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie dragging the party to the left, and they want to throw money at everything? When you see the game is moving in a bunch of different directions and money is being thrown in a bunch of different directions, you don't say, I'm going to go sit down. You say, I'm going to go get this money. Because we're all this money anyway. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to get involved in politics and I'm going to go get it. And if I have to make the Democrats lose the presidency by voting down ballot, I will do that. But I'm going to show up. So you can't say black people didn't show up. We showed up.
That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to. You can go and you can protest outside of Democratic National Committee headquarters without casting a vote.
But why would you? Why would you?
As far as Bernie and as far as Ocasio, I think Bernie and Ocasio-Cortez are nothing but a bunch of sheepdogs.
But hold on, caller. That's not the point, though. The point is not whether they're sheepdogs or not. The point is that everything is wide open right now. Everything is happening at one time. We got don't nobody know what do Republicans. The Republicans went with an anti-establishment candidate. Then you got this stuff going on in the left. Everybody has lost control of everything. When you see this kind of chaos, I see a bank. The money's open. I got to go get it. The rights are open. I got to go get it. There's a lot going on at one time. And what I'm telling you is that if you are not engaged in this game, you cannot win this game. Now, you don't have to give Democrats the presidency. You don't have to give them the Senate or the House. You can vote down ballot depending on who your individual senator or representative of candidate is. That's how you're going to determine it with your state. You know better than me what's going on in Chicago or New York or wherever. Or Baltimore. I don't know.
What I'm saying to you is that I have studied politics for 30 years. Okay? And
so have I, sir.
It doesn't matter whether it's a Chicago Democrat, a Cleveland Democrat, a Los Angeles Democrat. A Democrat is a Democrat is a Democrat.
Well, you can vote. Listen.
They're not going to do anything for us unless we put some pressure on them.
No, they're not going to. I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you calling in. But listen, they're not going to do anything for us unless we make them. They're not going to do anything for us unless we make them. The question becomes, listen, don't do the easy thing. Don't do the easy thing. The easy thing is just to be like, well, they did nothing for me. I'm going to sit down. That's what they want you to sit down. They don't want you to show up to city council. They don't want you to show up to the town halls. They don't want you to do anything. They want you to sit down. Don't sit down. You can show up and just vote for the ballot measures. But you know what everybody's going to say? Because people keep counting this stuff. Man, black people turned out. They just didn't turn out for us. Man. Black people turned out. They went out to vote. And black people, they got some local people elected. So they were out there. They just didn't turn up nationally for Democrats. What happened? We're not going to have power anymore if these black people keep doing this. They show up and they vote on ballot measures and they vote for some local politicians here and there. And if they like the congressperson or senator, they vote for them. But if they don't, they vote down ballot. And they're costing us elections. We're going to have to give them something because they ain't playing this time around. They going to let us lose. Come on. They going to be out here and they going to let us have to deal with this? What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? these black people cost us the White House. No, we didn't. Y'all gave us Trump. You cleaned it up. Wait a minute. In all these states, you're telling me black people came out to vote, but they didn't vote for us? See, they want to be able to just be like, black people are lazy. Now, we came out to vote. We showed up. We voted for a lot of different stuff that was good for us. We just didn't vote for you. We didn't vote for you for president. And if you got senators and congress people, even local people that you know are shams and hustlers or whatever, man, they didn't vote. They didn't vote for that, but they sure did show up. What are we doing wrong? And let me tell you what happens to the man who's been studying politics for 30 years. What happens is everybody, if you've ever worked on campaigns or with campaigns, I have, you know that everybody goes back to the drawing board. Why did these Negroes show up and they didn't show up for us? How? Why? We got to figure this out. Because normally if you don't show up, they can just write it off of, well, Negroes is lazy. That's the stereotype they love anyway. Negroes is just lazy. But if we show up, we vote, but we just didn't vote for y'all. Wait a minute. Something else is going on here. They don't have a problem getting to the voting booth. They voted for this ballot measure for felons or this ballot measure for the tax or whatever. They just didn't vote for us. Right? You got a whole bunch of stuff going on. The caller's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. Yeah, and each moment is different. Each election is different. You know, you have blue dog Democrats. I worked for a blue dog back in the day. That's a more middle of the road Dem. I worked for a left wing too. But you got left wing Democrats who are pulling the party left now, and all the stuff that they're doing from the Green New Deal and all the stuff they're proposing is going to cost money, right? Everybody's putting money on the board. And so what we're saying is if you're going to put money on the board for us. This is not, you got to understand when you're in a different moment. Every moment, every election is different. And you have to change and adjust according to that. The caller never explained to me how staying at home is going to transform the election. Or is going to transform, or how we are going to get a bounty from a party that we have supported. Like LBJ said, I'm going to have them voting Democratic for how many years. Yeah, you did. And we didn't get an exchange for it. It's an abdication of leadership that we didn't say, if I don't get what I need in terms of representing the black agenda, you don't get the White House. People say, I don't stand voting down ballot. You just talking about the president. Well, I'm talking about a lot of stuff depending on where you are. You can vote not for any of them. That's your choice depending on where you are. But what I'm saying to you is, when you start costing Democrats the White House intentionally, not because you just stayed home, put your heels up, when you start costing Democrats the White House intentionally, you become a problem. And politicians have to deal with problems. They need that power in the executive branch. Start costing it to them. This man's playing checkers, playing chess. I'm just telling you. I'm going now to another call. I am going to 860. 860, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 860? Let me see. What happened to 860? Looks like you're there. 860. I said loud. 860. I don't know where he went. All right. We're going to keep it pushing. 253. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, sister. This
Hey,
is
what's
Steve
going on?
from Auburn, Washington. Hey, you know what? Here's the deal. Everybody's throwing the age here. I'm 60 years old. And I did the homework on you and Tone. And you went to Howard University. I had an uncle that went to Howard University. I went to college. I went in the military. You know what? At some point, you got to stand up and take responsibility and accountability. We've been slaves. People have been making money off of us. Listen, you want things to change, you got to get off your rear and go after it. You got to get involved with the political system. The laws are made for everybody. That includes us. We need to stop being this victim mentality, this defeatist attitude. And the vote is just so simple. Voting is simple. You just got to educate yourself. And I came across you guys, and I've been following you, Yvette and Tone, especially you, Yvette. I've done the homework on you, too. I've done the homework. I looked you guys up. I looked where your education was. I looked where Tone's education was. Mm-hmm. I'm like, these people know what they're talking about. I love it. I got to come back to the station again. I didn't just accept what you had to say. I did further. I went and looked you guys up. That's what we got to do. 220 is an important year. Next year is an important year for black people. And we need to turn a new attitude. It's our attitude. And you'd be surprised up here where I'm at, how many people are opting out not to vote. If for any reason, I don't care who you vote for, it was people who took shots, who got lynched, who got beat up, whatever, got the right to vote. We had to fight hard for that right to vote. So, for only the one reason, it's for that reason why I do it. It's because my ancestors, my dad, went through segregation and Jim Crow, all of that. For that reason, I get my little behind to the voting polls, and I get active. I don't accept, I won't, and I can't. I'm out there. I am out there.
Thank you, fam.
And that's all I wanted to say.
I appreciate you.
You keep up the good work.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate you. And let me just say this. I think you have the right not to vote, too. I think that is your right. You have the right to vote. Our ancestors fought for us to be free, which means you have the right to vote and you have the right not to vote. I'm just telling you why not showing up politically is a bad idea. I'm not saying you don't have that right. I'm telling you why not showing up. You're not going to show up for anything? Wait a minute. Your ballot's not even printed yet. You don't even know what's on it, and you have decided on December the 2nd, 2019 that you're not going to show up. And let me just say this too. Let me just say why I think this is lazy. I said it. I don't care. I think it's lazy because it's not even like the people who are supporting Don't Vote are putting together some kind of collective Don't Vote thing or something like that. They're not. You're just kind of talking into a space where you're not going to do it. You're not like doing a political move where if you don't do this, we're not going to vote or something like that. Like, it's like this guy's just like, you're not talking about what else happens if we don't. Like, let's say there are all kind of stuff on the ballot in terms of cuts for stuff that we need in programs. So if you don't show up for stuff that for meaningful stuff, like who does that? Who takes care of the person in the community who needs some stuff? Like, you're going to be government now? I think we have this thing in our mind that, like, sometimes some of us that we don't have a role in government and we don't have a role to play, or how we play the role is by just abdicating our role. So we play our role by abdicating that role. And I don't think the guy said, well, I think we should grow up. I don't think that's grow up. I think that's not being politically active. And I think we have to grow up and become politically active. And the first step to that, as we've done in this show, is a political education. That's why we did it this way. Because once you're anchored in something and you understand what you're anchored in, like, it's hard to move you off of that square. I don't think you are on that square just to not show up. Especially, like, at least tell me, like, my ballot is printed, Yvette, and there's nothing on here for me. Like, at least tell me I have the ballot and I see all the candidates. I see all the ballot initiatives and it's just guard. Like, tell me that. How are you going to tell me today? It just doesn't make much sense to me. So anyway, I'm going to the next call. I am going to 757. What's going on?
Yvette.
Oh, it is.
I see you're having trouble with that recurring training.
Oh.
I'm going to give you a quick lesson. I don't usually talk about me, but I'm going to throw some me in here this time. The very subject you're talking about when you talked about these opportunity zones, I sat through a seminar up at Tatum about a month ago in Richmond with a guy named Ben Teresa and Joshua Poe and another lady, I think her last name was Holland. Okay. And they were talking about this very thing. 3 white people were talking about the impact of opportunity zones. So I listened to them for 2 hours.
Hello? You see that, Otis? Your phone's breaking.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something. Okay. I'm going to try to blend it into this. Opportunity zones were once called empowerment zones in 1993. Are you there?
I'm here. I can hear you now.
Yeah, okay. But after listening to those 3 people, Joshua Poe was excellent as usual. But the other 2 white people, I kept raising my hand to try to speak at the forum. They would ask a question.
But then ADOS, I waited till after they finished, and they said we could go up and talk to them. So I caught the two white people that were talking. Now, Dom Teresa runs VCU's political science department. I told them that I found it offensive that they keep using nice words for something that in my youth, James Baldwin called Negro removal. That is the very same program that was being run when I was a youth. It was actually the Negro removal. You can Google that term, and then you'll understand the evolution of what is now being sold to the youthful people in the chat as opportunity zones. It is the very same thing that was used to put exactly what you said, white capital, into what distressed areas. You've been doing the political education. Why are those areas distressed? Because they've been deprived of what? Access to capital. So what happens? White capital comes in and moves you out under the guise of improving your life. And what happens? The rent goes up. Matter of fact, my new love, Zarina has covered it excellently at the conference. I don't know where these people that are calling in telling you what you need to do to grow up. I don't know why they can't Google it and figure this stuff out. I happen to be a nerd that has done it because when I grew up, I tell you again, I repeat myself, I had to use a Dewey Decimal System in a library. You people can just let your fingers dance across a keyboard, and you don't have to call in and be condescending and don't know what the hell you're talking about. But let's talk about something else too. Your man Charlamagne the God. I watched an interview with him with somebody that must be off their meds. Dear Steve Pontificator, Mr. Michael Eric Dyson. I heard him say, and I've never heard it from his mouth because I don't usually listen to the program, that he's been teaching Jay-Z in his position as a professor for a decade. Somebody needs to get rid of him. He's another McWhorter, or there's that other guy, Glenn Lowry. He is so caught up in his vocabulary that his damn brain ain't clicking on common sense. He literally said that Jay-Z is a genius and that his lyrics are so poetic and profound, and that Jay-Z was actually doing good when he intervened in the deal with Kaepernick. Now, if you go back and listen to this interview, that man went around and around and had straw man arguments and all kinds of ignorance. And I am just astounded that anybody could get as many degrees as he is and be so dumb. I hope he hears me. I hope he comes for me. Because I put up a nice tweet directly to him and told him he needs to get his meds. Stop skipping your meds. There is no way in hell that you can tell me if the NFL gave a man a contract, and in it there were stipulations that would not allow him to have his constitutional rights, that he should have just showed up and used his magnificent Negro powers to circumvent white supremacy. These people are out of their damn minds. The caller that keeps telling you about don't show up, you explain to him that if he shows up, the documentation that we are politically engaged, you no longer can use a smear like Tone called in and got you to put up a chart. I have been adamant that the lie, worst lies than even the Russia attack was the fact that supposedly black males caused the Democrats the 2016 election. You already know, put up a graphic. Less than 8% of black people voted for Donald Trump. That means we're only 13% of the population. All of us are not voters because some of those are what? Children. So barely 20 million black people supposedly caused Hillary Clinton not to win. It's a lie. It's a bogus lie. Joy Reid is a lie. Malcolm Lance is a lie. All of the people telling you that we are the ones that tanked the Democrats is a lie. And I'm right with you. Since Democrats are the ones that we've given our political energy, they are the ones we need to hold accountable. And another thing I want to say to these people, stop telling us that you want to cut the check. Reparations is more than a check. It's generational. Reparations, pure reparations done properly, means that your great-grandchildren will not be going through the ignorance that we're putting up with today. Having people like Michael R. Dyson tell you that all you got to do is use your Negro talent. People like Charlamagne telling you that it's all right to gentrify your own community. No one wants a black foot in the boot on our throat. Much love to you, fam.
Appreciate it. As always, Otis, appreciate it. Woo-wee. All right, Otis is on fire as usual, but let me just say something else. You know, the caller who called in and said we should stay home. He said like we should become politically mature or something like that. And I just want to say, like, understand that one of the failures of our political leadership is that we've never tried to, and activists and everybody in the space, we've always let people trot us off and tell us who to vote for. Like we went through this whole phase where people just give us a list of everybody, all Democratic candidates, and we just vote for everybody or whatever. We have never really seriously engaged in a way that held the Democrats accountable. So he's trying to put it like we've always voted and we got to stop this. No, what we've always done is show up for whoever the Democrat was. We've always done that. We haven't voted down ballot, and we haven't said, well, if ain't nobody on the down ballot, we're just going to vote for the ballot measures and the dog catcher. We have never done that as a group. That has never happened. So for you to say it has never worked, it never happened. What we normally do, here's what black people normally do. We normally say, well, we're going to hold you accountable. And then when it comes down to it, they always say, oh, you got to vote for us. You got to put the Democrat in the White House because the Republican is so bad. You can't have Mitt Romney or you can't have, you can't have George Bush. You got to put the Democrat. And we always say, okay. I'm going to just go vote this one last time. I'm going to vote for the Democrat, put him in the White House and everybody else. We have never said no. We have never been serious about what we're talking about now. So you can't say that like we've always done this. We've never engaged politics in a way where we were serious about holding the party that we give the overwhelming majority of our votes to accountable. We've never done it. It's never been tried. So you can't say it hasn't worked. Never done it. So anyway, I'm going to my next call. I am going to 617. What's going on?
Hey, Yvette, it's Reggie. How you doing?
I'm okay, Reggie. What's going on with you?
What's going on with me? I'm confused by a lot of what I'm hearing. I mean, I feel like it's a lot of it is just people are just woefully underinformed or just lazy. I don't know any other way to frame this. And when you say things like that, or when I say things like that, people, you had addressed it earlier that they're saying, "Oh, you're just elitist."
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with elite. Even though you went to Howard political science, shout out to you. Tone the same, a lawyer, shout out to him. Apart from your degrees and your experience, which is of substance and is to be commended. Apart from that, what you and Antonio have done, along with a lot of people who are very active within ADOS, is the commitment to political education.
Yeah.
And even further, a commitment to self-education. I feel like a lot of people are waiting for someone to come and spoon feed them. It's like how long have these links for Eddie Glaude explaining what down ballot means? How many people said, "Hey, I don't understand what this means. Let me go buy Democracy in Black. Let me go through those Eddie Glaude interviews. Let me go back through the breakingbrown shows to see, what that meant. Let me go pick up a dictionary and figure out what down ballot means. And again, I feel like it comes back to just this political laziness, because no informed, engaged political person in the United States can sit here and tell me that on election day there is not at least one ballot measure or one ballot initiative. Like you said, we're voting for or against something, and you said it before. I just want to reiterate it. If you feel like there's nobody on the ballot to vote for, write down ADOS or leave it blank, whatever your locality allows you to do. But again, if there's a ballot initiative, even if it says, hey, we want to paint City Hall red or blue, which one do you want? I'm sure you have a preference. Just go and vote for that. Again, these are not partisan or conservative or liberal issues. It's just like, what do you want in terms of this policy? Like, if you want the minimum wage to go up, or if you want this initiative for voters, I mean, it's very simple, and I think people are trying to, just sow confusion or just justify their political laziness. Because, and in terms of a lot of the detractors and people with other platforms just kind of talking, I feel like the way that you and Tone and others of us have really challenged them and brought them to task, that people are having a hard time justifying and wrestling with the fact that I have been listening to and getting spoon-fed to these people for over 10 years and nothing has come of it. And they're trying to figure out how to wrestle and deal with that. And I don't know what to tell you other than, like the brother said, you just got to get off your butt and do the work. It's not an elitist statement. Like, commit yourself to that education. Like, read the books, read the articles, read the candidates' platforms, engage with them. Because I guarantee you, a lot of these people talking about, I'm not going to vote, I'm not going to do this, guarantee you they haven't had one conversation with a candidate. They haven't gone to any town halls, not for city councilor, not for representatives, not for senators. These people are politically lazy. And I'm just going to say, like, the laziness has to end. The political immaturity has to end. This is not the time for it. And you had said it some shows back that pretty much what every rank and file ADOS person has to do is to become a scholar in their own right. Because you have to take this information and go out and weaponize it politically, and then you express that at the ballot box. Now, again, if you feel like the Democrats ain't got nothing for me, the Republicans got nothing for me, show up, vote on that one or two measure, leave the rest blank, write the rest in. Because what happens is if I'm in either party, but especially the Democrats, because that's where the leverage. Even if on a local level, if I see 100 more votes in a local election than I did before, 100 more black people show up, but it's blank. I didn't get any votes. It went to the other column. Where did this go? How do I get it? That's how these political campaigns work. And again, I feel like these people talking don't know enough, because they go to the polls, they go to the exit polls. Who showed up? What was the demographic? What was the gender? What was the issue? What was the candidate? Why did I lose these votes? How do I go back to get it next year? And I'll just start off with a personal example here in Boston. There was a lady who was running for city council, and she won by like 8 votes. And one of the things that I was doing in my engagement with her, because I engaged her from the beginning, from like when she first announced. Okay. So I've been kind of chasing her around town for over a year, and being specific about, this is what I need for black people, specifically black men, in terms of cannabis. This is what I need in terms of rent control. Now, lo and behold, as I'm putting on that pressure, and as I'm having conversations with other people, and then she turns around and wins by 8 votes, I have a question for y'all. Do you think she's going to pick up Reggie's call? That's all I got to say.
Thank you,
Have a
Rich.
good night, Yvette.
You too. You have a good night. You have a good night as well. I appreciate it. I mean, we gotta be power brokers in this thing. And I think Reggie's right. You know, it's easy to just disengage. It's hard to do what Reggie's doing, like chasing around a candidate, applying pressure. That's hard work. Nobody. I think what's going on really is that like a lot of these Negroes who are talking about us don't want more work. They want to feel like not doing something is work. And like, no, not doing something is work. And you don't have to do what Reggie's doing. Just like Reggie said, you can just pick up the book. Join us for the book club next time. Anchor yourself in political education. Don't be so invested in having all these and giggling all the time. You do a lot of giggling. It's too much giggling for a grown person. You do a lot of giggling. You know, you got to get out of what Obama was. Obama was like this reflection, you know, of a political naivete in Black America. And I don't, you know, we feel because we voted for like this Cosby-esque, they got a black family, it's very beautiful, you know, personality. This election is an agenda election. And we have to let people know that we're gonna come to the thing. That don't mean you gonna get in the White House though. If we don't get a black agenda, our black agenda, the one that we define, not the one that you define, because you didn't negotiate with us, you have a conversation with us. That's gonna cost you the White House. That's a big deal, people. I don't know how people don't say that's a big deal. We've never done this. We've never been in this space. We said we're going to be politically engaged, just not for the Democrats who say they're for us, but keep doing other stuff against us. We're not going to do them. And understand that this is the show. Everybody, all these other shows talk trash. We are the show that has methodically eviscerated. Breaking Brown and Tone Talks have methodically eviscerated every top tier Democratic candidate. The only candidate that we talked to, and we checked her, Antonio checked her, Marion Williamson, when the number was too low, because she put reparations on the table. Shout out to her. We wanted to end the conversation. But understand something, whether it be Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, we have Kamala Harris. I even had some stuff to say about Cory Booker. Understand that we have, whereas the rest of y'all little shows, y'all just be talking. We have used the data to eviscerate all the top tier. All the candidates who are in the running, or in Kamala and Cory's case, were in the running. We have taken all of them down and shown how they don't have a black agenda. And how we don't owe them our vote because they don't have a black agenda. There is no world in which you can say that is shilling for Democrats. We've done more to show what these top tier Democrats are not doing for ADOS than any of these people talking are doing. You just talk. You just talk behind the screen or whatever and say, well, they ain't never going to do no. We have shown like what they're doing. And how this is class-based and all kind of other stuff. It's not ADOS-based. Ain't nobody else did that in amongst these talking heads on YouTube. We're the ones who've done more to damage Democrats than anybody else. Why do you think Kamala Harris wasn't able to float to the top via cloaking herself in ADOS? That was because of us. Nobody else did. That was ADOS. Nobody else did that. You can't then turn around and say this group who has put a fork in every and popped the bubble of every Democratic candidate where ADOS votes are concerned is now shilling for Democrats. You gotta be stupid. So anyway, I'm going to the next call. I'm going now to 773. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, my name is Jen, and I'm calling from Jersey. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I just want to commend you. I listen to you off and on, and I could say that you do be standing on your square, though I disagree with a whole lot. I mean, not a whole lot, but some. Because as far as politics, us as the black people have been pushing the ballot for power for so many decades. You know, through King, the whole civil rights movement, up to now. And that still haven't gotten us anywhere. So what do you say about doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results?
Did you ask me a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we doing the same thing over and over, if we trying to search for power in politics, and we've been doing that for over the decades, then don't you think it's time to do something else? Not that we have to give up politics, because I'm not saying to give up politics, because politics is, as you would agree, it holds over our lives. It governs our lives in, you know, every aspect of our lives as quote unquote citizens. But what I'm saying is this, is that after you cost them the White House, and that's what's going to happen, then what's the plan after that?
All right, fam. I appreciate you calling in, but the first thing was, and correct me if I'm wrong, chat. The first question was, we've been doing the same thing, and can we do the same thing and expect a different result? That was his first question. And the second question was, what if we cost them the White House, what happens after that? Am I right, fam? You know, the first thing I would say to the, if I'm right, the first thing I would say is that we haven't been doing the same thing. Normally what we do is just show up for, when it comes time to vote for the president or whoever else, we just vote for the Democrat because we say the lesser of two evils. Now we're saying, no, you might lose because we voting down ballot. If you don't give us an agenda, that's your butt. So this is not the same thing. Please understand that this is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. We haven't really ever seriously engaged in terms of holding Democrats accountable. Because the Democrats have always made us feel like Republicans are so much worse. You got to vote for us. And so we have been what they call a captured electorate. And so our way of coming outside of that is saying we're not going to be captured. We're not going to be a captured electorate anymore. We are going to demand an agenda. And if that agenda is not fulfilled, you're not going to get the White House. And depending on what state you're in, if you don't like your candidate, you're not going to get that either. We will rather write in ADOS than vote for somebody who does not have our agenda at heart. We are leveraging our power because when you go vote, if you have voted for, you're going to get a Democratic thing anyway because that's what you vote. That's where we've always voted. So, but you don't give us anything. So how do we vote in this space and you didn't give us anything? So how do we go getting what we're owed in this space? That's what we are. That's not something that has happened. You know, we've had this whole race without politics since about 1980 in my estimation. There's been no space like this. Honestly, I feel like there's been no space like what we're experiencing right now since like Reconstruction. Like that's when we talked about reparations. We have never had a reparations debate. Like this is the central issue. Democrats are answering to this since Reconstruction. This is not what happened 4 years ago or 8 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Stop telling me about what happened then. This is a new moment with new politics and new solutions and new things that we're going to do and tweak and do and tweak. Don't come asking me, well, that's like going on the football field where you say you're going to call this play. You the quarterback and you going to, and then you want him to be over here, right? You want him to catch. Oh, okay. What if he don't catch the ball? Now what you going to do if this play don't work? Then I get a new play. Damn. What are you talking about? If this play don't work, I'm going to go and write up a new play. I'm going to go to the playbook and I'm going to write up a new play. If I got to take somebody out and put somebody else in, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to write up a new play. What do you mean what happens next? What is everybody doing? Is everybody okay? Gosh, this is a whole new realm. There are no gatekeepers like that anymore. Like even the people who are trying to be gatekeepers are having a hard time being gatekeepers. The gates are open. Let's run through them. Last call. 832, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Lamont. I'm currently living in Houston, but I'm originally from Detroit.
Okay.
I've been listening to you, and you had a couple of callers that made some good points, particularly gentleman that was talking about used to go to libraries with the Dewey Decimal System. One of our greatest sources of education right now, because everybody has a phone. Everybody can Google and learn things. Okay, so I want to tell you a few things. My opinion of you, and I really love you. I think you're a strong sister. You're doing what we need as a people, and I view you as our modern day Harriet Tubman.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Harriet had the same problems that you were having, but in a different way. When she wanted to free slaves, she had so many arguing against running away. Okay, so you have the Shills coming at you. And then when she took some got halfway, and then she had to bring them back. You know, if it got more than halfway, then maybe she had to pull out the gun. With respect to that person, I don't want to even say his name, talking about we need financial literacy. No, you are giving us the foundation on what we really need. It's political literacy. We have to have that. Our people need to understand that politics is what's being used to hold us down. So we have to learn about it and learn how to manage it in our favor. Okay? Now, the subject was, one of the subject matters was opportunity zone. Okay? I would like everybody that's listening to you right now, because a lot of people know about Tulsa, Oklahoma and Black Wall Street. I would like everybody to Google how the Black Wall Street got started. Because, and everybody got phones, and there was not only one, there were about 4 or 5 of them. Durham, North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, there was 2 in Oklahoma. But Google how they got started. So when you do, you'll find out that there were opportunity zones that they took advantage of as their neighborhood.
Who was this? I'm sorry. Who was this caller? I'm sorry. I was in the chat. Who did this?
My name is Lamont.
No. Who took advantage of the opportunity zone? I'm sorry.
No. I said they're talking about opportunity zones in the black community. Okay. That's space where people want to come in and take over our neighborhoods and our areas where we live. And they've been doing that for a long time. Everybody knows about the Civil War. The Civil War started in 1861, but we got freed only because Lincoln needed a way to win the Civil War. After the war was over, then you had a lot of people black people started buying up some land. So in 1888, you have several communities started coming up where some black people bought the land and started making opportunities for their neighbors and whatnot.
Okay,
and that's how the Black Wall Street built up. It took them 25 years to build, like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Greenwood neighborhood, because that's in Greenwood neighborhood. It took them 25 years to build that 36 square block where owned businesses, like you were talking in previous sessions, where our dollar was stayed in our community and stayed in our community and stayed in our community. But if you look at the timing of when World War I ended, so those black guys the white guys from the war who got upset at the black guys who were fighting in the war, came back, looked across the railroad tracks and said, look at all what the black folks got. You know, they probably used the N-word. I'm going to tear that up. So, but it was only one state where they actually did it physically. I happened to attend North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. When I got there, the thing that shocked me the most was there was this freeway that had no end and had no beginning. So I looked into what was going on. there was a Black Wall Street in Durham called the Hayti area. So to break that up on a political level, what you're trying to prepare us for, they built a freeway down the middle of the black community. It didn't connect to 40 in the south, and it didn't connect to 85 up in the north. That was just to break it up. Okay? So the point that you're making that everybody needs to understand, in all of our communities, we need to find out what's important to us. Find out how to get things on the ballot. Go to city hall meetings and talk to people that have some political awareness. You can Google things. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can find out what's going on.
Hold on 1 second, caller. Hold on 1 second. I'm not gonna let you finish. Okay. One of the things that getting things on the ballot was a good point, because what you can do, like the ballot initiative, in terms, you all seen that stuff where people try to get signatures to get stuff on the ballot, right? So like there are ways to get stuff on the ballot. So in terms of if there's something in your community that you feel that needs to be on the ballot, instead of being like, ain't nothing ever gonna be on the ballot for me because the ballot is more than candidates, then work to get what you think should be on the ballot. But go on, let me let you finish, caller. You still there?
Hey, yes, I'm here.
Final thought for me.
Pardon me?
I said your final thought. Give me your final take and thought or whatever.
Well, I really like what you're doing. I'm gonna continue to listen to you, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and let another caller get in.
Appreciate it. Thank you, fam. And actually, sir, you are the last caller of the night, because we're already at the midnight hour, a little bit past it. People got to go to bed, so that's going to be it. I want to thank you, caller, for calling in. And yeah, like I think. See, the thing is, we're focusing on elections, and I have always focused on, yes, we have to be there. We have to vote down ballot. We have to do, and if there's nothing there, you got initiatives or whatever. But like what? I don't think people understand that what ADOS has been doing has all been before the election. Like, you have to do the work that leads up to any election. Like, all of the political work. And the political work goes everything from doing like what Reggie does in terms of running people down, to following your person on Twitter, your local legislator, your state, whatever, and figure out what they're doing and how that benefits you, how it doesn't, to understanding budgets. All of that stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes into politics. But you don't have to do that if you just say, I'm not going to vote. Like, if you just say, I'm not going to vote, you can take all that stuff out of there. I don't got to know nothing. I ain't got to learn nothing, because I ain't going to be nowhere, no how. So I think you have to, I think you have to stay engaged. And part of the way of staying engaged is to be like, I'm preparing to vote. Now, if you go there and it's just a ballot measure or whatever, extra taxes on the chicken coop or whatever, vote for or against or whatever and leave. But you have to get into the mode too of, I'm here because I'm going to show everybody I'm showing up, and if necessary, I'm costing these people the White House. I came here and there was nothing here for me except for this chicken coop thing, or except for maybe you have a big thing like the felony, or who knows. There's no way for us to know what all of the ballot measures are going to be on the ballot. That's why you don't opt out this soon. You don't know what's going to be there. You have no idea. At least say, I'm gonna look at the ballot when it gets here, and I'm gonna make a decision about what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna think about your recommendation, and I'm gonna make a decision. I'm making an adult decision. Opting out right now is not like a real serious decision. It's not serious. It's not like you email me your ballot and say, Yvette, look, it's got 3 horrible Democrats. And then even in terms of my local people, they this, and there's no ballot measures. I don't even want to go there. Then I can have a conversation. But you are just trying to find a way to empower yourself by not doing anything. That I kind of have a problem with. And you're not doing anything beforehand, so you don't like anybody on the ballot. Okay, let's say there's an ADOS chapter in your community. Have you talked with them about what they're doing? Nah, I just want to sit home and put my slippers on. No, you're too poor for that. And I know the data. I know you're poor. Don't tell me you ain't poor. You a lie. So, fam, that is it. That is, it's an interesting conversation. But let me just say this, fam. I think we have to understand I kept the man on the phone, and some people were like, hang up on him who I was disagreeing with. It's fine, because I think this is we have to have a space for these kinds of political debates, and I don't mind him disagreeing. He was for the most part respectful, and when he was disrespectful, I told him like that's not appropriate, and he came back in. I don't have a problem with that, because I think we should have been having these robust political debates for a long time. I don't see how we had. It's almost like we had two sets of people. It's like we had the Roland Martins of the world who were like, people died, let's vote. People died, let's vote. Well, it ain't right, Roland. So we still gonna vote. I don't care. People died, let's vote. And I'm gonna dance. And then you had other group of people like, I'm not gonna vote. And nobody ever tried to integrate the two and let's say, how can we hold the people who we are voted for accountable, even if it means that they lose, as opposed to like these two things of just voting souls to the polls and I'm staying home. How do we come together as a collective? And I'm fine with having a debate, but let me just tell you, everybody gonna have to figure this out by the time election day comes around. And I don't think this just staying at home because I think I ought to stay at home is a good way to do things. Especially your ballot ain't out yet. Come on. Anyway, fam, listen. Please hit the like button before you exit. Please hit that like button for me. As usual, if you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/ycarnell. But as always, please go to subscribetobrown.com, subscribetobrown.com, and give me your email address if you are so inclined. I would appreciate it. Hit that bell so that you get notifications. If you have not hit the subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button for me. Do not forget that on the 30th of January, we will be reading They Were Her Property. That's our book club. It's just now December. You have more than enough time to get this book and get in on the Breaking Brown book club so we can have the conversation. Now, the book club shows don't get enough numbers. We need to have these conversations and do our political work. Political education is the foundation of political work. And so I want to thank everybody who showed up, showed out, and I still didn't get this end early. I actually ended late. Ain't that something? It don't ever work out right. Anyway, fam, get to bed. Finish your libation or whatever, and we will talk and have the conversation next time.